Hello, welcome to this webinar. This is about the Master of Design and Integrative Design at the Stamp School. We're here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, 2000 Barnstable Boulevard. Joined here with Professor David Chang, who's the head of the Master of Fine Art program, and Wendy's here, our
Hello.
Director of Graduate Academic Services, which if you've been communicating with the school, you'll have already communicated with Wendy. My name is John Marshall, and I am the Director of the Master Design Program. And first of all, what I want to do is just wander through the program, give a brief presentation in order to cover what the program's about, and then we've already received some questions from potential applicants, so we'll work through those as a kind of frequently asked questions type session. But in the meantime, if you're watching this live, you should have the capacity to enter questions in on the right hand side of your screen. And if you do that, David and Wendy here will make notes of those as we're going through. So if you already have some questions, feel free to submit those. Or if things come up as I'm talking about the program, if you type those in, then we'll definitely make sure and try and get to them within the time. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to talk a little bit about the program. So if you bear with me a moment, I will share a presentation. I'll disappear from screen for a moment. But you should be able to still hear me. Okay. So here at Michigan, at the Stamp School, we've started a brand new program. We really had an opportunity to do something new, to do something different, to do something that was relevant to where the design field is and where it's going. We had, for the past decade or more, had a program which is free from disciplinary concentrations. So that was at the intersection of art and design. So that was a grand experiment. What we've decided to do now is to have a Master of Fine Art program and a Master of Design program, which, although distinct and different programs, occupy same space, share resources in some cases, and there's definitely porosity between the two. So given the nature of the fact that we're starting a brand new 2-year program, and we have the opportunity to sort of re-envision what graduate level design education can be, the faculty got together and we debated and discussed what we should be, and what we've actually arrived at is a Master of Design and Integrative Design. The key there being that we're looking for people who already have design skills and want to integrate those. So what we're looking for is a small group of engaged practitioners, from across the design fields and the design related fields, who are looking to maybe change the direction of their practice, change the direction of their career perhaps, who want to come here to Michigan, a top-tier Research One university with a wealth of resources, both human and physical, and to really leverage those opportunities and those resources in the service of design. So the idea is that this program is a collaborative program. So really what we're looking for is people who want to come and work with others, both the rest of the cohort, so the other graduate students in the program, with the faculty of the Stamp School, but also faculty from across the university and beyond. So stakeholders, whether it be community groups or corporations perhaps, or non-for-profit organizations, depending on what the specific umbrella project is, and it is a project-driven course. Degree course. So the idea is that you're going to be working collaboratively across disciplines on open-ended, what we call wicked problems, but in a really engaged and empathic manner. So one of the questions we often get is, what is a wicked problem? And this is a reference to, actually came out of planning, and the key reference is from Ritto and Weber in 1973 in a paper titled Dilemmas in a general theory of planning in Policy Sciences, Volume 4, Number 2, and as I said, 1973. And this is a determination of a wicked problem as opposed to a tame problem. So a wicked problem, and I'm just going to run through the definition so that we can be clear what we're talking about. So there's no definite formulation for a wicked problem. It's really the people who are engaged in tackling the problem and the stakeholders who have vested interest in it are really arriving at an understanding through tackling it. So the nature of the wicked problem is such that it is, I mean, it could be a social mess, it could be something that is so complex that any one individual or any one discipline can't really address it. So wicked problems have no stopping rules. So this really means that how do you know when you're done? Well, when you run out of resources or when you've done all that you think you can. So there is no real solution. The nature of the wicked problem is so complex that you can't possibly solve it, and you enter into engaging with the wicked problem in the understanding that you cannot solve it. Solutions are not true or false, so they're not definitive in that sense, but they're better or worse. So it's really stakeholder dependent. So those who have the vested interest in the wicked problem really are important in what is actually done and what is arrived at through the engagement with the problem. There's no ultimate test of a solution. So basically, there's consequences of any result, any proposition, anything that is done. So basically, it's in the knowledge that every solution is itself another problem. And that is in the nature of dealing with wicked problems. And also, every solution to a wicked problem is a one-shot deal. I mean, basically, you learn through trial and error. And every attempt to tackle the problem is significant. So there's no ultimate solution. There's no describable or exhaustively describable set of solutions. The criteria that to know whether one has succeeded or has engaged with the problem sufficiently really begins with what the starting point for those that are doing the tackling, so the stakeholders and those that are taking on engagement with that. It really get to define what the criteria are in dealing with the wicked problem. Every wicked problem is a symptom of one or more other problems, and the causes of wicked problems can be explained in numerous ways. So framing what the problem is, and that's going to be a large part of the first year of the Master Design Program, is really reframing the questions, reframing what the issues are, and investigating into those deeply, so that solutions and propositions can then be made in the second year of the program. And finally, with wicked problems, the designer has no right to be wrong. So in a very real, live, human engaged situation, it's important that the designer who's engaging with the problem really takes responsibility for the impact and the implications of tackling that wicked problem. So I hope that gives you an idea of what the program is about. The first wicked problem we're going to be tackling is healthcare. So the fall 2015 cohort will be dealing with 21st century healthcare as a wicked problem. We'll be investigating that. We'll be working with stakeholders, and we'll defining problems and sub-problems within that area. In the future, years down the road, we might change. We might deal with crime. We might deal with climate change. There are other types of wicked problems, but initially we're going to be dealing with healthcare. So here at the University of Michigan, we have a wealth of stakeholders within the university. So there are people in medical school and engineering, and particularly biomedical engineering, at the School of Public Health, in the Ross School of Business, and mechanical engineering. I mean, these are some of the stakeholders that we already have on board. We've really put together a sort of number of faculty from across the university who are quite willing to participate and advise and consult with the incoming graduate students. We're also talking to a number of corporations, which unfortunately I can't name here at the moment, but we are undergoing a process of having agreements with a couple of companies who would sponsor in part some of the studios for the course. But really, what we're doing is we are trying to have people who have pressing and serious need, and people who have expertise to work with the Stamps faculty and the graduate student cohort for the Master of Design program in an integrative manner in order to tackle some of the most wicked issues facing contemporary healthcare. Okay, so we're looking for we're looking for 8 students in the incoming cohort, and what we're looking for is people who are, you know, a year or two out of undergraduate, or who have been in design practice for a while, who are looking to really change the focus and the emphasis of their of what they do. So we're looking for designers, people who have established design practice, who want to work in a collaborative, open-ended manner on wicked healthcare problems. We're looking for people who are engaged in the healthcare industry, who have need of a more design-focused type of practice and want to really engage in 2 years of collaborative process to really redefine what it is that they do. We're going to focus on you know, collaboration, communication, creative thinking, problem solving, you know, a whole and everything that the being here at the University of Michigan makes available to us. We want people who are active and really want to engage and take advantage of, as I said before, the considerable resources that are available here. That's really important. Like, we're looking for people who are going to be proactive and who really want to work with others and have something to offer to that cohort and that group.
We do have a question.
Okay, so we have a question.
How much do other students or students from other departments are involved in resolving the wicked problem?
Yeah. So I'll just restate the question just in case you couldn't hear it, was that how much will other students from other parts of the university be involved? This is something we're actively working on. So obviously, by engaging other faculty, they have their own students and the other programs that we're interested in, or who are interested in working with the program, they have students. Obviously, connections between graduate programs is very welcome. We're looking at where, because in the curriculum we have a requirement that every student take electives across the university. We're also looking at how students from across the university can take our courses as electives. That's part of the intention. Some of our partners here at the university have existing courses. So, for example, Kathleen Sienko, who's in mechanical engineering and has been really fortunate in working global initiatives in health, and has recently begun the process of founding an institute for humanitarian technology, is really excited about the prospect of working with the MDes cohort. And so one of the things we're discussing is like what some aspect of that introductory part of the wicked problem for fall 2015. She would actually have this is potentially have the mechanical engineering students who are involved in her program work on the same project. So that would actually mean that it would be 2 cohorts of students who'd be effectively working on the same thing. There's still some logistical stuff. I mean, we're a year out from this actually happening, but this is something that we're actively pursuing. So the answer is that, I mean, on the screen here, there's a number of schools who are really interested in working with us. We're really interested in working with them and their students. So as many connections as we can have. This is a program which is conceived as being together with and for, and that's with our partners, with our stakeholders, and with communities beyond the university. If you have any more questions about that, please submit them, and then we'll try our best to answer them. So we have the STAMPS faculty, so we have a broad range of expertise and knowledge that we can draw upon. Everything from Professor Brad Smith, who's works in radiology, to new faculty, Bruce and Stephanie Tharp, you know, that we're thrilled to be that they're here, and also we will be recruiting additional faculty this year. So we have everything from Jan Henrik Andersen, product designer, Seth Ellis, who does more interactive technologies, Roland Graff, who does sort of things in public space, Frank Nuno Quarco, who literally wrote the book on Paul Rand, graphic designer, Hannah Smotrich, you know, who's phenomenally good at typography, scary good, and Nick Tobia, who instigates things in public spaces, really in a socially engaged manner. This is a great group of people, and basically thrilled to be working together and looking forward to the first cohort. So yeah, I mean, there's a broad range of knowledge. I mean, I think almost everybody on the list does more than one thing. I mean, that's part of the incentive of this program, because we are really interdisciplinary minded, cross-disciplinary, and we are within the research university, and we all have connections to somewhere else in the university and beyond. So when we were conceiving the program, it was like, that's our strength, that's what we should focus on. Other programs do other things, but this is really what we're good at and what we are ideally located to take advantage of. So let's do that. So this is an overview of the curriculum. So every semester there is a studio, and we're thinking of these as sort of opportunities to create some finite, one semester long studio-based courses which tackle one or more aspect of integration, this integrative design idea, and those would build on each other as the program goes. This is really going to be determined by who we recruit. So the interests and aptitudes and capacities of the incoming cohort are really going to drive some of these, you know, what the focus and the interest is. Obviously, with the nature of the wicked problem, there are many different things. As I said earlier, the stakeholders, and that includes the cohort. You know, how they frame the specific issues really determines what is worked on and what the criteria for success are. So we're looking for willingness to collaborate and then engagement with a broad range of different approaches and ideas. So we envision the studios as being opportunities to collaborate, both with the faculty at STAMPS and the faculty across the university, other graduate students and other programs, with stakeholders beyond the university, and to really investigate what it means to be a design practitioner in the 21st century, and what it means to be an integrative designer, where the activity of designing is actually what brings things together, brings those stakeholders together, brings those capacities together. So thinking in the first semester, you know, we've got inquiry. So, you know, if we are starting from a point of view where we really need to dig into the issues, we need to reframe some of those issues, we need to tease out what the specific questions are, then focusing on what is known and what is not known about healthcare. Obviously having a studio that is based on inquiry really makes sense there. That's backed up with a research methods seminar, which is really about orientating new students to the university. So what are research methods, both in integrative design, but from other parts of the university? So imagine a constant stream of guest speakers who are going to talk about research methods from their point of view and discuss what the similarities and differences are between the design program and what research methods are in there. And also some training on some actual methods for integrative design. Design seminar on integration, so thinking, okay, if everyone involved in the program is now undertaking integrative design process, what does that mean? What are we integrating and who are we integrating it with? So basically the first semester is really about orientation. It's about setting some goals, setting some values, testing some of these out in a design process, right? It's a design program, engaged in doing, but it's also student focused and student driven. So if you're in the cohort, then we want you to bring the entirety of your previous skills, knowledge, and experience to bear on helping to define what the cohort work on. The second semester is prototyping, and that's prototyping in its broadest sense. That could be everything from wireframes or models or all the things that we'd expect from product design, interaction design, user experience design, graphic design, basically testing some things out by making things. It's also prototyping things in real space. So we've been building relationships with like Mott's Children's Hospital, for example. So the idea of like being able to try out some things, whether it be apps or products or devices, in collaboration with, as I say, Mott's Children's Hospital, School of Public Health, really getting hands-on and actually trying and failing, hopefully, so that the learning happens. And the seminar in the second semester is Design for the 21st Century. We're saying this is a 21st century design program. So what is distinct in the 21st century versus the 20th century? So a bit of history, theory, and criticism, looking at how one positions oneself relative to recent history and the issues facing us in the present. And then in first and second semester, as you see, there's a total of 3 university electives there. And that could be if you need some more quantitative or qualitative, depending on which aspect you're coming from. You might want to take a course, or you might want to study with a particular professor if there is an aspect of wicked healthcare that you want to dig deeper into. That's really your opportunity to take those courses. Summer, we have the fieldwork studio, and this is an opportunity for the entire cohort and some faculty and stakeholders to really engage, and that might be here, it might be in Detroit, it might be in a foreign country, it might be on the other side of the United States. It's really an opportunity, depending on what the particular wicked problem is, to engage in a live setting in an engaged manner with a community or a constituency that has need. So the Fieldwork Studio is between the 2 years of the program, and I think that's a real interesting opportunity. So third semester with co-creation. So we've come through the first year and then the summer between. So we should begin to have a bit of an understanding about what is integrative design, and how we might go about that. Beginning to get some patterns maybe. So it's again going out, engaging with the stakeholders, and actually actively trying to engage them in an integrative manner by bringing them into the design process, the integrative design process. The thesis prep, that's really setting every individual in cohort up for the final semester. So making sure that all the research and particularly the sort of contextual stuff is in place. There's sufficient development in the written work for the thesis, and defining what some of those things might be. So there's a space there in the program to actually work on that. And then professional practice seminar, thinking about, okay, once you leave the program as an integrative designer, how do you position yourself relative to all the other types of design, all the other approaches to design that there is? So that seminar will really focus on what it means to go out into the world as an integrative designer and how to take advantage of that. Final semester is the thesis project. So whatever has arisen throughout the previous semesters, the particular stakeholders that everyone's working with, the collaborations that are built up, that could be individuals, pairs, but working under the umbrella of Wicked Healthcare, with stakeholders, partners, faculty from STAMP, faculty from across the university. And another opportunity, if there is need of some other expertise from elsewhere in the university, another university elective in order to support that work should it be required. So that's the overview of the programme. If there's any questions, let us know and we'll try and answer them. So this is a program in integrative design. We're looking for people who already have design skills or who have been working in an engaged manner in a field that is related to healthcare with designers. So we really want people who are, have something that they already want to integrate. Right, so we want someone who maybe wants to change their career path, they want to pivot in their career, or they want to focus more explicitly on healthcare, or they want to more explicit more on integration and what that means as a leader of a cross-disciplinary team, or to reposition that knowledge base and skills that maybe have been used in design practice. So that's really who we're looking for, and we hope it's you. The students in the cohort will have a shared space. So we're currently undertaking the design of the Master Design studio. So this will be a collaborative space with individual workstations, space for presentations, space for meetings, a small production zone, and this is located within our graduate faculty studios. So the MFA students also have their spaces there, and the faculty have their workspaces there. So this is a facility which is close to North Campus, close to the main building, a regular bus service between them. But it's a 33,000 square foot facility with a wood shop, a metal shop, photography studio, and a spray booth, all those kind of things. We also have access to all the equipment here on the main campus. But this is really for graduate students and faculty, a place where you can go and you can work and have a community of peers. And the floor plan is how it is at the current design space. So I believe now we have an opportunity to do the FAQ. So I will come back on screen so you can see us. I see we have some questions have been there.
I think you answered that already.
Okay, I think I answered that. So if you have any other questions, keep them coming, but I just thought I'd show our faces again to show that we are real people, and we're waiting here. We're happy to answer the questions, but I think what we'll discuss now is we'll talk more generally about the program, about the application procedure, and things of that nature. So if you have any questions about that, or any questions about the program, just keep them coming. We'll try and answer as many as possible. So I'm going to pop back into the presentation and continue with the general requirements for, oops. Okay, so application deadline, January 1. The URL for submitting your materials is there on screen. So that's when we want your application. You're submitting your application to Rackham, which is the graduate school. So you apply to both Rackham, and then that material comes to us as well. So we want your biographical information. We want to know who you are, right? This is a program in integrative design, so each individual is not a unit of labor. It's someone with particular interests and skills. We want to know where you've been, where you've gone, what you've done, and what your aspirations are. We want to know. It's important because the cohort are really going to be dependent on one another. So, and tell us about yourself. We want to know about your creative work. You know, what that experience is. And we also want you to identify 3 of the STAMPS faculty, 3 of the integrative design faculty that you would like to work with. And this is important. This is a relatively new thing that we've introduced because we really want people to be in your corner advocating for you as an applicant. And we really want to make connections even before you're admitted, so that you know, we can all make the best advantage of, you know, when the student get here on campus, that, you know, it's understood who they are, what they are, and we've already made a connection. That's really important to us. So identify, you know, go look at the profiles on the website, identify 3 faculty that you want to look at, and we'll guarantee that those faculty will read your application, they will look at your application, they will consider it, and if there's an interesting match, then your application will move forward. You want your personal statement, and this is, you know, as I said, we want to know who you are, not just your professional capacity, but also who you are, what your values are, what your goals are. You know, it's very important that the cohort is diverse, but also that there are, you know, different points of view. There are complementary skills. So, and also like personal experience. So we want to be able to make the best possible cohort that we can. And then we want all the official stuff like transcripts, you know, a resume, 3 letters of recommendation, you know, so people who out in the field who want to cheerlead for you. The English language, we do teach in English, and then there's an application fee which is non-refundable.
It is non-refundable. That's Rackham policy.
Yeah, so that's Rackham, that's not us.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that $10?
No, it's $65.
$65, there you go.
Domestic.
The low price.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're also looking for work samples, work examples. I think this is probably one of the #1 questions that David or I get, which is, you know, can you look at my portfolio? So we want to see something that's representative. And I mean, depending on where you're coming from the integrative design, for the integrative design program, you know, if you're coming from the healthcare field and you've been working in a design management role, obviously it's going to be different if you've been working as an industrial designer, right? We understand that. We're looking for a diverse cohort, as I said, but just, you know, show us what you've done, try and frame it in a way that we can understand, how it is, and you're going to upload that to SlideRoom. And as I said, the people that you nominate as the potential advisors, I mean, they will be visiting SlideRoom and closely looking at your application. Okay. It's just some advice: apply early, get someone to proofread your statements. And I would say that as one of those potential faculty members, I'd love to hear from you. We'd like to know before you apply. Make contact. I spent some time yesterday with a prospective applicant, so people are already coming, visiting the school, getting to know people. You're more than welcome to do the same. Email us, contact us, and the more informed you are, the better an application you're likely to make. So I really will ask everyone to reach out to us, and we're more than happy to hear from you. Wendy, do you want to talk about finances?
We have a couple questions
Okay.
that have popped up first.
Okay.
One of the questions is the GRE required for admission? And the answer is no.
No.
The other question is what is the minimum score for the TOEFL? And for the internet-based TOEFL, that's the only number I memorize, is a minimum score of 84. However, if your degree is from a U.S. institution and you happen to be an international student, you do not have to take the TOEFL.
Okay.
So that's the answer to that question, or those 2 questions.
Okay.
With the finances, let me switch over a little bit so I can actually see. With the finances, all of our graduate students are considered for financial assistance based on their application. So we don't need you to apply separately for that. However, we do encourage all graduate students, once you're admitted to the program, to apply for the FAFSA. And so if you've done undergraduate study here in the US, you know what that is. It's always important to just have that on file in the event that you need it. But what we do here for financial assistance is we are able to offer students assistantships, which could be instructional, so you might be in a classroom, or they could be administrative, so you might be working with our galleries or with perhaps our communications department. But with those assistantships comes a tuition waiver. It can vary from a partial waiver all the way to 100% of your tuition, and you will get a monthly stipend with that. Some of the other funding that we are able to provide to our graduate students are discretionary funds. So $2,000 per year to spend on materials for creating your work, travel to conferences that are relevant to your creative practice, and basically anything else that's needed to help make your work. You can apply to Rackham Graduate School for conference travel. If you're presenting at a conference, which many of our students do, they are able to get funding for conference travel. The students in the MFA program, we'll talk about those in the presentation at 3 o'clock, so I'm going to skip that line. In the MDes program, John's already talked about the fieldwork as part of the curriculum, but that fieldwork will also be funded. And then the last one on the slide is the research grants. So we have a few research grants through the Rackham Graduate School, as well as the STAMP School, that students can apply to receive funding for specific projects.
Mm-hmm. So basically, I mean, there's a broad range of different financial packages. They are merit-based, so as part of the application process, as Wendy says, those will be sorted out. So Michigan's a great place, and it has deep pockets. So we also have our the stamps. It says on the screen, visit an artist, but it's more than artists. It's designers, scientists, technologists, basically people who are making an impact in the world. It's a distinguished speaker series, and I encourage you to go to the website and look at some of the videos that are on Play Gallery from some of our former speakers. It really is. I know of no other speaker series that is as diverse and as lauded as stamps. It really is the jewel in the crown of our program. It's fantastic. And the speakers actually visit with graduate students the day after they talk. So that's one of the great things, is you get regular visits and meetings with these leading thinkers in the field who come through on their presentations. It's great. There's some names on the screen of like former visitors, and they are again a really diverse range of people from across a lot of different fields. It really is a wonderful thing, and this is just for stamps. So there are 19 schools and colleges at University of Michigan. They all have their own speaker series. They're all bringing visitors through. So I mean, someone once asked me what it's like to be at the University of Michigan, and I described it as confetti in a wind tunnel. In other words, there's a lot of stuff coming at you. There's so much to do. It really is. I mean, the resources, both human and physical, here are really fantastic. Ann Arbor is lauded as a city, as a college town. I mean, there's also the proximity to Detroit. We have a number of connections to Detroit, and Detroit is about 45 minutes by drive from Ann Arbor. So you've got everything from top tier, wonderful college town, and some of the most pressing urban problems that face America, side by side. And so for myself as a designer, it's like if no one should ever have have to worry about what you work on, because there's plenty to do. You have to pay a visit to Detroit, and there's a lot of need there. There's some fantastic stuff. There's some great things happening, but there's also a lot of pressing social need, and so hopefully be able to make a connection there too. So I've talked about the 19 schools and colleges at University of Michigan. Pretty much, regardless of what you're interested in, there's someone who is a world leader in that field, and pretty much, so long as you're proactive and you go out there and you are willing to introduce yourself and ask questions, then pretty much the world's your oyster. It really is an amazing place. I won't go on and on about that, because I think I've been quite glowing about that so far. But it is a wonderful opportunity. And there's all manner of different facilities and equipment, and as well as the human resources. So the physical opportunities are quite amazing as well. Okay. An opportunity to collaborate with faculty and grad students, as we said previously, from across all manner of different disciplines. It's a great place to be. Okay, so we get to the frequently asked questions section. So I have some questions that have been submitted previously. Oh.
Is there any page limit for the portfolio? So we're looking for approximately 20 pieces, but we can see some details of those 20 pieces, right?
Yeah. So in SlideRoom, you can submit, it's basically 20 files, right? So those files might be images, or it might be something written. What I would say is to make sure that the 20 pieces of work that you submit as your creative work samples, make sure that it's obvious what you want us to see, right? So the faculty that you nominate and some others will review the applications. All the faculty will have access to it. So it might be the case that someone will see something in your work that make a connection that you might not have from our profiles online. So with those 20 files that you submit, make sure that, I mean, if you submit a paper or something, you might want to submit both the full paper and an excerpt. If you're submitting some video, you might want to do like a montage of the most important bits, so that we can really quickly get an idea of what that is. So if it's a object or a website, then obviously submit the you might want to give us details. You might want to submit the URL. Just think about it from the point of view of an audience member, as someone who is seeing your work for the first time, and really cue us into what you want us to see. So with those 20 pieces of work, or those 20 files, you might want to use 2 or 3 for one specific piece, and give us the actual work, or a link to the work, or the full document, but also give us some indication of a particular point you want us to pay attention to. Okay. So some of the questions that we've got here is teaching opportunities for graduate students. So Wendy kind of covered that with the different things. So there's graduate student instructors, a GSI position, or graduate student staff appointments, GSSA, and then there's a GSRA, which is a graduate student research assistant. So the GSI would be a graduate student instructor, and that might be involved in an undergraduate course, discussion sections. There are also, the current student who's teaching a class. It's an experimental architecture class. So the faculty member and the graduate student are leading that course. So the answer there is yes. and you know, there's lots of other opportunities as well. So, but there's ability to teach. Do international students receive financial support? International students are eligible for exactly the same financial support as domestic students. So all the opportunities and all the support is exactly the same for international as well as domestic. Can the programs be completed while working full-time? No. So basically the program, the Master of Design and Integrative Design, is designed to be completed through full-time study for 2 years. So if someone was wanting to reposition their working career, you know, we would have an expectation that they would be fully engaged and committed in the program as a full-time member of the cohort. So we've covered GRE and TOEFL. I think those the student to faculty ratio. So with the incoming cohort in fall 2015 will be about 8 students, and I've just realised that I can actually turn off screen share, so you can actually see me. Okay, so there we go. Student to faculty ratio. There are in the advisory group for the MDes, we currently have 10 faculty, and so there's 8 incoming students, but we also have approximately half a dozen faculty from across the university who have said that we can use their name in vain and that we can just take it for granted that they're going to be engaged and advisors on the program. So actually the student to faculty ratio, if you count the full-time stamps faculty and who are assigned to the MDes plus the advisors from across the university, is actually 2 to 1 in favour of the faculty. There are also there's a total of I think around about 40 faculty and stamps. That's between the MFA and the MDes, and just because those faculty are on different programs, it doesn't mean to say you don't have access to them. So it's a small group. It's intentional that way. Obviously, the first year out will be 8 students, followed by a new cohort in the second year of the program. So it'll be a total of 16 students. That's where we're going to start with for the first few years. But the faculty student ratio is there's more faculty than students. So I hope that answers that question. Schedule of courses. So on our website, stamps.umich.edu/courses, you'll see all the existing courses. As a graduate student, you are eligible to take undergraduate courses. You need to get an override from the instructor. So if there was a particular skills-based course that you were interested in or picking up, you could do that. You would need the permission of the instructor, and you'd also have to take that course for graduate level study, which is a 500 level or above. So that is available. So you can go and you can check out all our courses. The URL again is stamps.umich.edu/courses. The program is full-time, so there was a question about that. Is the program full-time? How do graduates use their degree? We don't know yet. It's a brand new program. So we have not yet graduated any students from the Master of Design program. The incoming cohort in fall 2015 will be the first cohort. So if it's you, you will get to set that path. I mean, our students who have been on the MFA program have gone all over the world, different places. Some are teaching, some are involved in practice, some of them have changed fields entirely. I mean, given the nature of the program, one of the things I think about in terms of success for students who come into our program is that something I call the forked path. So if you think about a student who is on a certain trajectory, they come into the stamps program. When they do something different, when they leave, that's I would actually consider that as being a success. I mean, my understanding of grad school, or my opinion of grad school, is once you've pushed as far as you can go on your own, and that's the right time to come to graduate school. And you come to graduate school because you want to change your future. You want something different. So I think that's something that is really indicative of like the success of the program is when people do change course. Information about faculty, that's on our website again. You know, there's a landing page. If you go to stamps.umich.edu/MDes, it'll take you there to all the information. There's a bit about the faculty advisors. I'd advise you to go look, see who we are, see what we do, Google us, contact us, and you know, find out as much about it, because we want to know all about you, so you should reciprocate. I think that's all the questions. Have we any more questions coming in?
Nope.
Okay. Typical student. There's another question here about a typical student. So I think I've talked about that. I mean, we are looking for product, industrial, graphic, integrative, user experience designers, all kinds of designers, people who are engaged in design-related fields, people in the healthcare field who have been working in a management or design-related role. We want to take on a more design-focused practice. I mean, that's really who we're looking for. We're looking for the right team, because it is a cohort, and the willingness and the need to collaborate is a key part of the program. So unless anyone has anything else they want to share, or if there's any more questions, I think we're almost there. Okay. So thanks very much for paying attention. I'm John Marshall. This is David Chung.
David Chung, how do you do?
And Wendy, Wendy's off camera. She's probably your first point of contact. So W Wilkes at stamps.umich.edu. So W Wilkes at umich.edu. Basically the first point of contact with the program, and you can find contact for me or David or any other faculty on our website. And as I said previously, we are looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks very much. Bye.